How we doing, everyone? Best Pick Show. I'm your host, TK Nation 47, joined by John Cool 19. We have the BMW Championship, but first, let's get to a big story heading into golf. Tony Finau wins his second tournament in his top 10 career. So big shout out to him, a friend of the show as always. Chalk loser. Tony Finau gets it done. What are your thoughts on last weekend, Tony Finau winning?
Honestly, it was exciting to see him win. Exciting to see another playoff, which we haven't had enough of over the last month or so. Seems like basically every week we get extra holes on Sunday, and this week even Monday. So I was excited for him. He's definitely a guy that we play a lot, especially in cash when his price comes down a little bit. His price jumped big time this week. But yeah, well-deserved for Tony. He's played in a ton of events over 5 years without a win. It's like over 30 top tens in that time, just crazy numbers. Glad he finally got off of that runner-up swing he's been on. So awesome for him. How did you fare in DFS last week, more importantly?
Yeah. Well, we're going to get into it here with the BMW Championship. I'm happy for Tony. I did all right. I was either going to win $500 and take down a GPP, or Tony Finau was going to win the tournament. So if anyone was going to beat me and send me to third place, I'm happy it was Tony. All right, let's get into the BMW Championship at Caves Valley Golf Club, just outside of Baltimore, Maryland. This is a birdie fest, but last year at Olympia Fields, I think it was at, it was kind of play tough. John Rahm was learning last year. Anything you want to add real quick on Caves Valley?
Sure, Caves Valley,
it's kind of a new course. Not many events held at this course, so yeah, go ahead.
So par 72, it is a long course. There are 4 par 5s that are all 600 plus yards. So looking at par 5 scoring this week, just like you mentioned, birdie fest, birdies are better. Strongly weighting that this week. I'm not really concerned at all about avoiding bogeys. Not really concerned too much about drive accuracy. The fairways actually are somewhat smaller at this course. The greens are actually quite small as well. But with the length, we're looking at ball strikers. We're looking at guys long off the tee. And then I'm putting some around the green in mine as well, for just the assumption that not everyone's going to be able to hit these greens in regulation. So kind of weighting those in, opportunities gained as well, all in my modeling this week. And then some comp courses I'm looking at. Quail Hollow kind of pops as one of the more common ones that we see every single year. I'm also including Congaree, which was the Palmetto this year. John Deere Classic, also another longer course with lots and lots of birdies. So just a couple that I'm weighting in. We obviously don't have a ton of info to go off of, so I'm not putting all of my emphasis on course fit this week. Just kind of see how it goes, but rather more emphasis on form as we're looking at the golfers this week.
Yeah, recent form, course fit, I think, are golfers that we can rely on here to score well. This is a no-cut event, so DK scoring comes into play. Guys, even if they're making bogeys, but they make a ton of birdies. So looking for those kind of golfers as well. Speaking of, let's get into our picks. I'm going to go with my favorite here is Patrick Cantlay at 9,200. This is a golfer who's really excels off the tee. He's been really good with his irons as well. Patrick Cantlay putts really well. That is his preferred surface, having won the Memorial this past year. That is bent grass as well. Well, he finished 11th last week. Didn't gain strokes on the approach, but he really excelled around the green and with that putter. So I'm looking for much of the same. And one of the best golfers tee to green. 9,200. You can lock that in for a good DFS price. 25-1, probably not. But hey, stranger things have happened. Tony Finau just won, so I kind of think anyone can win at any moment now. So,
Sure.
But Patrick Cantlay going to be my favorite play at 9,200.
Yeah, I think Patrick Cantlay is a really strong option. I think you're right. He's an absolutely in the question here for cash plays this week, and potentially a one and done for me as well. For me, up at the top, I'm going to go just like last week. Jon Rahm finished third last week when I had him in this same favorites category. Pretty much everything I said last week still holds true, except he's got an extra top 5 in the list. For his last 10 events, 9 out of 10 made cuts. He did have the one withdrawal also in there where he should have got a win. So really he should be at 2 wins in his last 10 events, along with 7 top 10s, what should be 8. His BMW history, I know it's rotating courses, but he's played really well at this event. He's been 5th place twice. He was also the winner in 2020. Again, different course, but just the fact that he plays well this time of year says a lot, I think, about Jon Rahm. Looking at his stats last 36 rounds, he comes out number 6 in driving distance, which we're looking at quite a bit. Number 1 greens in regulation, somehow even over Colin Morikawa over his last 36 rounds. Number 1 in ball striking, 8th birdie or better, and then 11th on approach. So a whole lot to like here on Jon Rahm this week. I feel like I'm just repeating everything I said last week. But for a guy who should have won last week, or at least who was right there at the end, there's no reason for me to think that things should be much different this week.
Absolutely. I can feel really confident in Jon Rahm, even though he is 11-7. Typically in a no-cut event, stars and scrubs kind of wins it because you can rely on nailing a couple of those 6K golfers, and we'll try to find some of those for you this week. That can make a lot of birdies, and you could still play your guys like Jon Rahm even at 11-7. Number 1 tee to green in like the past 2 years.
Yeah,
when it comes to strokes gained, so don't overthink it. Next up, we're going to go with some value here. Going to go with someone I don't typically play often, but I really followed him through this good stretch in his game. That's Cameron Champ, 7,300, winner of the 3M Open this year. Another guy that's really good off the tee. He's been pretty good tee to green as of late, maybe not in the last 50 rounds, but lately he's been really good tee to green. Since the John Deere, he was 5.5 at John Deere, 4.1 at 3M. He gained strokes at tee to green at the WGC St. Jude, and then 3 last week at the Northern Trust, finishing 27th. He gained 6.1 strokes on the approach. He just really struggled off the tee to score, which isn't typically his problem. So if he corrects the driver, he hits his fairways, or he puts himself in position with that distance, I think Cam Champ is an easy play at 7,300. He does have winning upside, so maybe a top 5 bet is a decent way to go about him on the betting card. What are your thoughts on Champ, and who's your favorite value of the week?
Yeah, if we're talking about driving distance, if you are not including Bryson DeChambeau, which everyone knows will hit it farther than everyone else on tour, the guy who comes to mind is Cameron Champ. So he is absolutely a long hitter. Like the play here for me. Once again, just like last week, I'm going Paul Casey in this value spot. I think the price is still fantastic here for Paul Casey at 8,200. The 30-1 to win, I'm not so confident in. Maybe like a top 5 bet or something on him, but I'd rather just play him on DraftKings anyways. I did have him, like I said, in this value spot last week. He finished 64th, which was a little bit disappointing, but if you dig in, he had his worst putting round that is in the entire Fantasy National database. And that goes through for him rounds that were in 2003, 4, and 5, all of which were included. So he couldn't have had a worse week putting. I went and looked, if you take his average putting on bent grass screens like we had last week, and you look at what his average is instead of his actual strokes gained, which was negative 6.5, he would have had a top 15 finish if he was just at his baseline. So a great putting week, he would have been top 10 last week, or even a good putting week would have been top 10. So I'm not too worried about that 64th. Again, if he can just get over the putting woes here, his last 10 events, 9 out of 10 made cuts, 4 top 10 finishes. And then again, BMW history, he's never been worse than 33rd in this event. He's got 4 top 25s in his 5 tries at the BMW. He ranks 11th in DraftKings scoring when it comes to these long courses that are birdie fests. So I like that quite a bit. And then just the numbers here, he always pops in the modeling. He's number 2 on approach the last 36 rounds, number 5th ball striking. He rates out really, really well on par fives, comes in ranked 4th in that. He's also 23rd in distance. So I'm not too worried about his off the tee numbers and whether or not he can knock it down there. And really, we're looking for guys who aren't at the bottom of that list, who are really going to be losing strokes to the rest of the field. We want guys in that top third or so, should be just fine. You don't have to be number 1 or 2 like Cam Champ and Bryson, but you got to be up in that top third so you're not just losing strokes here.
Yeah, I like Paul Casey again for sure. 8,200 is a pretty price tag. Just need him to convert on those par fives, and I think we'll be good to go.
Yeah.
Next up, we got our sleepers page. I would have to say both of us don't really have a sleeper, quote unquote, but we have guys here that kind of add-ons to value that I think are going to be solid plays in their respective price ranges. But maybe they're a sleeper in wins when it comes to outrights this week. If you notice, Charlie Hoffman's odds don't make any sense compared to his price tag.
Agreed.
I think Charlie Hoffman is a solid play here as a sleeper. Yeah, 14th in DK points. He's going to score a ton. I actually think, he's got a real shot at making some noise, getting inside that top 30. Gained 4.7 strokes total at the Northern Trust last week, finishing 21st, 3.9 on the approach. He gained strokes with this putter. As long as he can keep the hot putter going and just, makes, a few of those 8-footers here or there, he's going to do just fine, and he's going to be well within the top 20 when it comes to DraftKings scoring. So I think he's a really solid play. I wouldn't even mind him in cash either.
I agree. Yeah, I completely agree. Everything you said on Charlie Hoffman. When I went to pick my sleeper here, the first 2 guys that popped up for me were Charlie Hoffman and Johnny Vegas. You and I did not speak beforehand, but yeah, I love Charlie quite a bit this week, and you hit it right on the head there as far as the pricing goes. Looking at Johnny Vegas, he's $100 more, and he is double the odds to win this event. So that is a lot of value, if you will, for Charlie Hoffman. So I went Johnny Vegas here. He did miss the cut right on the number last week. That was a little bit disappointing. I know he was super popular last week. It still was able to, the way he performed this year, still able to advance into this top 70 group. Couple reasons why I really like him. Looking at those comp courses I listed earlier, he was 11th this year at the John Deere, 2nd place at the Palmetto, 43rd at the Wells Fargo. So he's got some really good comp course finishes from 2021. And then the stats as well line up with everything we're looking at. He ranks 4th in distance. He ranks 3rd greens in regulation, 14th ball striking, and he is 23rd birdies or better. I think Johnny Vegas, again, just like Hoffman, is at least consideration for cash and a good bet to get in your GPP lineups this week if you could fit him in with some of those top guys. You mentioned we probably don't have anybody we really would want to call a sleeper. Usually we're right around this 7K mark, a little below. For me, one guy that stuck out way at the bottom, Taylor Gooch, a guy we love to play here at FSI. He's only 6,200. He ranks 35th in my modeling out of this top 70. That is pretty nice number. No cut event. Guy can ball strike. We know he can score on DraftKings, so I do like some Taylor Gooch if you really want to go down in the pricing. But again, this is the top 70 golfers in the world this season, so there's no scrubs. They just don't exist. Not this week.
Right, yeah. And nobody's slipping through the cracks when it comes to the end of the year events. I like what you said about Taylor Gooch. So this guy I usually play week in, week out. I think a true sleeper this week would be someone like Hudson Swafford, 6K. I don't mind a guy that can really hit it well off. But hey, he doesn't have to worry about making a cut. This guy can make eagles. He can make birdies on par 4 or par 5s. That's all I know Swafford to be good at. And hey, you never know. Any given week and in no cut event, you got to take shots. So maybe Swafford is a good sleeper on top of what we've already discussed. Next up, we have our one and done slide. I would probably think I'm out of it unless I win the next 2 weeks, or I get 2 guys
This is the
is
last
inside the
week.
top,
You won't be winning next week.
2 or 3 when it comes to finishing position. Oh, all right. Well, I'm not going to be winning at all, but I have Xander Schauffele. So, hey, saving probably one of the better options I could for last. So maybe
Sure.
Xander can bring it home for me. Just go ahead and tell us about the last week for you and what you're looking at as far as winning money.
Yeah, I mean, for the last 3 weeks or so, I've finished with a golfer about 15th place, give or take, with Sungjae Im, Bryson DeChambeau, Colin Morikawa. Really, nobody's panned out, so I've lost a handful of spots. I've been hovering like 275, now up to 320. Top 500 are getting paid, and this is another big money event. I think it's close to $2 million, or it's like 1.7 million or something for first, something like that. So I can move up quite a bit if I were able to spike a win here. Everything you said about Patrick Cantlay, I like that. He's one of my few studs I have remaining. It was kind of between him or Answer, maybe even Kokrak, a couple guys I like this week as well. But I'm going to go Patrick Cantlay. He ranks highest in my model of all the golfers I have remaining. So hopefully he can score me some points here. He's been used by almost everybody in the one and done pool, so I don't know if his ownership will be that high. I like Cantlay. Get me some money here, buddy.
If we have 2 chalk losers win back to back, I mean, we'll have to retire that V-Rod quote forever. And then especially if, Patrick Cantlay follows up with Tony Finau, I'm RIP to his mentions. Shout out to subscriber V-Rod. All right. Well, that'll do it for us here at FSI for the BMW Championship. John, thank you for joining me this evening, guys. If you would like to get it to us in Discord chat for maybe 1 or 2 more weeks before we head into the long off season Cup, we have swing season, so golf is never ending. You can get to us with that bill from FSI_DFS or at FSI DFS, and you can follow us at TK19. Thank you, like and comment below. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you later on for some showdown.
Sounds good. Good luck.